It's Melissa in the morning.
It is time for a Financial Friday. You have a whole crew here. Bill Levitt, very excited to have you here. How are you?
Good morning. I'm really good. Thank you.
You're so composed. You're going to act like they're not all looking right at you right now. There's no way they're looking at me. They're looking at you. Look, they're all shaking their heads. I can feel it. I can feel you all. Yes.
They are.
It's so nice to have you all in studio. Nobody else can see this, but we've got a whole crew here from Bridgelight Financial Advisors. It's pretty awesome.
It is very awesome.
It is very awesome. All right, we'll get right to
It's great to be with you.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you here as well, Bill. I appreciate it. And today I love this topic. I don't love what it is, but I love that we're talking about it. 6 missteps to avoid when it comes to transitioning to retirement. First of all, how many times would you say, you don't have to give me an actual number, but how frequent do you find that you have people who we could have really avoided that and had a better transition to retirement?
It's very frequent because most people spend time planning for retirement instead of planning to retire. And there's a difference there.
Why? Why is that so different? Because it sounds pretty similar, but it is different.
It does, right? So when you're planning for retirement, you're growing, you're saving, you're accumulating, right? You're planning on having some form of income in retirement. But when you're about to retire, when you're going to get into that phase of retirement, there's many things that you need to be thinking about to make sure you get it right, because you can only get retirement done once.
Right.
The right way.
Right. So one of the things I would think, at least I personally learned from you and your team, is when you don't estimate correctly how much you're going to spend. So expenses, for example.
Yes, I think expenses are a big part of that, because expenses are different when you're in your working years, right, than when you retire.
Sure.
And you also have to decide what your purpose in life is going to be in retirement. You have to have purpose.
Yep.
And you have to decide how does that drive you forward, and what is your lifestyle going to look like, and what your expenses are going to be. So evaluating your expenses or making a comparison between expenses when you're in your working years to your retirement is essential.
And to that point, Bill, I think one of the things that people don't always think about is, healthcare, for example. And I'm not talking about how much it's going to cost to have healthcare, but if you get to an age where maybe you need to have aides, you have to have somebody come in the house, or you have to afford a nursing home, thing like that. Or if your spouse goes through something and you need, I think sometimes that gets missed, and you don't want to think about it, right? It seems a little morbid, but do you have to think about that as kind of an expense that we underestimate?
You do. It is a healthcare expense. It's the one I think people don't want to pay attention to because of the way you described it.
Right. It sounds really morbid, but you have to.
It does, and it is the biggest healthcare expense you're going to have in your entire life. In the state of Connecticut, the average cost of long-term care is over $150,000 a year. Can you imagine?
Wow. I don't want to, but you and your team make me. So yeah.
But
it's a lot.
It is. It's a substantial expense, and sometimes it's unexpected, right? And all of a sudden it happens.
Yeah.
So this is an important part of good planning, in that phase of retirement.
Yeah. And again, we have Bill Levitt here from Bridgelight Financial Advisors. Not diversifying investments. What do you mean by that?
Well, when you're saving for retirement, when you're putting money away in 401ks and IRAs and other places, you have a growth investment strategy. It should be growing money.
Sure.
Right. So, but when you get into retirement, it's growth is important, but it's not the essential part. At that point, you want to shield what you have.
Right.
And you want to create income, because income is one of the most important things.
Totally.
Am I going to have enough income? How much income am I going to get? And the average person just goes from one phase of life to another without actually changing the investing plan and strategy that they have.
Right. Which can be really dangerous.
It can be.
I think that kind of links to one of the other things you want people to think about, Bill, which is knowing what your goals are, right? I mean, kind of envisioning what does your future look like? What does retirement actually look like for you?
It is. And, you want to make sure that you have a cash flow that's going to be consistent and steady, that is predictable. All right. You don't want to be having investments that are going up and down in stock markets, right? This year, the S&P was down almost 19% at one point. You don't want to be watching your investments go down while you're taking income out. So this is why you want to be making that transition. And that transition should happen several years before retirement. Those two phases of investing strategy overlap each other.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, but something that we've also certainly had peace of mind about is that more and more, I feel like, Bill, and you could certainly speak to this, you and your team, that more and more people are starting to have those conversations earlier in life. I feel like people started to plan for retirement more in their upper 50s, even 60s, but more and more, I think, are starting younger. Are you seeing that? Or is it just me?
No, it's not you. It's because there's more education out there.
Yeah, I think so.
There's more access to information. There's more awareness of the importance of it.
Right.
Than there was before. Like, yes, you and I have talked before. They don't teach it in grade school.
I was just going to say there's a lack of education around financial literacy.
Yeah. So you get through grade school and you come out into college and you haven't been taught anything about these things.
Right.
And so, but I think that naturally with the amount of information that's available to now, people are more aware.
And another thing, too, when we talk about the future is, because I talk about this even with my parents, is that we are living longer. So we don't always think about that, when you retired, it could be 30 years that you're not working. I mean, that's a lot of time. It's a lot of years that I don't know if we really think about longevity.
It is a long time.
Yeah.
My grandmother.
I mean, it's great, but you got to have the money there.
It is. And so she retired at age 60 and lived to 99.
Wow.
That's 39 years in retirement.
It's a lot.
Right. And so, people are living longer, and with the access to medicine, right, and which is amazing. We live in amazing times when it comes to medicine. People have the ability to live longer, and not just longer, but healthier lives.
Mm-hmm.
So you must plan for the ability to be able to sustain yourself financially also.
Yeah, exactly. If people want more information, certainly you can go to bridgelightadvisors.com. I personally love working with Bridgelight Financial Advisors and this entire team that's right here in studio. Bill Levitt, I want to thank you so much for what you do, and your whole team. Thank you for being here. And